For the last couple of years, if you spend any time at all reading tech news, you hear this exact same apocalyptic drumbeat over and over again. You know the one, right? The narrative that coding is dead, human skills are just totally obsolete, and we are all going to be replaced by like lines of self-replicating code.
Oh, yeah. It is a hugely pervasive cultural anxiety right now. I mean, people feel this overwhelming dread that everything we've spent our careers learning, like how to work, how to organize teams, how to build complex things, is fundamentally useless in this new era of generative AI.
Exactly. But today, we're bringing you a massive plot twist. We're actually pulling back the curtain on our own organization to explore this. Our source material today is a blog post written by Quan Nguyen, who's the founder of Skill Wanderer, which, is the very educational guild and platform that we actually work for.
Yeah, and the post is called Leading AI is surprisingly not that different from leading people. And honestly, the core discovery he made just flips that entire apocalyptic narrative completely on its head.
It really does, because Quan is coming at this purely as a practitioner. I mean, before the AI boom, he managed a department of around 20 human software developers. And now, he spends his days leading a team of AI agents to build real software.
Right, and what he found was that doing development with AI requires the exact same daily mechanics as managing human beings. It's wild. All those soft skills that the tech world just love to dismiss as corporate fluff, they are the exact things keeping people employed right now.
Totally. The old human skills like knowing how to brief a team, staffing a project, planning, taking ownership of mistakes, those are the essential load-bearing skills that actually make you relevant. So let's start with the very first thing that happens on any project, whether you're dealing with 20 humans or a server farm full of AI.
A manager has to hand down a task. They have to write a brief. And the mathematics of a bad brief are really revealing here. Quan talks about his early days as a front-end team lead, managing a team of like 4 to 8 people, and the brutal lessons he learned about providing context.
Yeah, he points out that if he assigned a task to a human developer without giving enough context, one of two things would happen. And he said, on a lucky day, the developer would just stall out, they wouldn't know how to proceed, so they'd come back with questions, and that stalling would cost the project about a single day.
Right.
But wait, calling a stalled project a lucky day sounds incredibly counterintuitive. I mean, why is complete paralysis the best case scenario?
Well, because the unlucky day is when the human developer doesn't stall. Instead, they proceed with absolute confidence based on a totally wrong assumption. They build this intricate, beautifully coded solution for a problem the client doesn't actually have.
Oh, wow. Yeah, like they build an entire backend database when the client just wanted a visual toggle switch on the homepage.
Exactly. That confident wrongness costs a week of rework, plus, the awkward apologies to the client. Silence is cheap, but confident wrongness is incredibly expensive.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second. Think about it like giving someone directions to your house for a dinner party. If you just say, it's downtown, they're going to get completely lost and end up in the wrong neighborhood.
Yeah, and naturally, as a young manager, Quan overcorrects. He decides that if underbriefing is the disease, overbriefing must be the cure. So he starts giving his human team just an avalanche of context. Client history, background, adjacent systems, decisions made months ago.
Going back to the party analogy, that is like handing your friend a 200-year history of the city's road development and zoning laws just to help them find your driveway. It's ridiculous.
Right, which leads to a completely different kind of paralysis. Because when you give a human too much context, they start overthinking. They weigh trade-offs for problems that aren't actually in their scope at all.
They hesitate on decisions that should take, like, 30 seconds because they're trying to balance 6 different competing priorities that don't even matter for the specific ticket they're working on.
Exactly. So Quan defines the sweet spot of leadership as giving just enough context to make the right call, plus a small margin for surprises. But here is where it connects back to AI.
Well, wait, because I've read a dozen tech blogs this week that all say we should be aggressively feeding AI models as much context as possible. We are constantly told to upload entire manuals and code bases into the prompt box. Are you saying that breaks the AI in the same way it breaks a human?
It completely breaks the AI.
Yeah.
And the technical mechanism behind why it breaks is fascinating. Large language models use something called an attention mechanism to process prompts. They assign mathematical weight to every single word you feed them, determining what's most important.
Oh, I see. So if you flood the prompt with irrelevant background history, those mathematical weights get dispersed.
Exactly. The AI's attention gets diluted by the unnecessary details. It starts over-engineering in a way that Quan describes as almost uncomfortably human. It wanders. It finds a random thread in your massive prompt and just pulls on it.
So you ask it to build a simple button, and it hands you an entire unsolicited software architecture because it placed too much mathematical weight on some throwaway sentence in paragraph 4. That is wild.
Yeah, and if you give the AI too little context, it falls right back into that confident wrongness trap we talked about earlier. It just starts making things up to fill in the block spaces of your bad brief. It hands you a finished product that looks completely reasonable, but is built on pure invention.
What's fascinating here is how our industry has developed completely different vocabularies for what is fundamentally the exact same failure. I mean, when a human acts on bad context, we say they misunderstood the ticket.
Right, but when an AI does it, we say it hallucinated. We have different words, different industry arguments, entirely different research literatures for these two concepts. But sitting in the leader's chair, the root cause is identical.
You didn't give them what they needed to succeed. Quan lays down a golden rule here that is ruthless but true. When the brief is bad, the failure belongs to the person who wrote the brief. Period.
Absolutely. Yeah. But even if you write the perfect brief, you've nailed the context, without overwhelming the attention mechanism, you're still going to fail if you hand that brief to an agent whose underlying architecture isn't built for that specific task.
And that's where we get into this idea of the roster, because Quan points out that in all his years managing humans, he never once had a team made up of identical perfect superstars.
Right, a real human team is a collection of distinct profiles. Quan had the fast guy, who covered a ton of ground but was sloppy and left a mess behind. He had the slow guy, whose work was always meticulous and never needed a second draft.
And he had the eccentric midnight guy who refused to work normal hours but just thrived in total isolation. And of course, the chatty employee who talked constantly but was brilliant at chasing people down, finding API keys, and confirming edge cases.
Now, a weaker manager would have tried to force all those humans into the exact same mold. Make the fast guy slow down, force the midnight guy to come in at 9 a.m., tell the chatty guy to stop talking.
But Quan leaned into their natural shapes. He paired the fast guy with the slow guy so the careful one could catch what the fast one dropped. He gave the midnight guy all the deep, isolated work.
And he gave the chatty guy the follow-up tasks, realizing that chasing down details isn't overhead, it's actual, vital work.
Yeah.
He managed them by cutting along the grain of the worker rather than against it. And he applies this exact same philosophy to AI.
Right now, there is an endless, exhausting debate in the tech world about which single AI model is the absolute best. Everyone wants to crown a single winner that can do everything. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
All these tech blogs arguing over which single AI model is the smartest are entirely missing the point. Quan is saying that asking which AI is best is as amateurish as a manager asking which human employee is best at literally everything.
It is. If you're looking for one AI to do everything flawlessly, you are failing as a manager. Quan views AI as a roster, not a competition. You staff for fit, not raw individual brilliance.
Take Claude, for example. By most industry benchmarks, Claude is brilliant at logic and coding. But Quan notes that in daily use, Claude behaves exactly like that fast, sloppy guy from his human team.
It's a little arrogant, a little too quick to declare victory without checking its work thoroughly.
But wait, that sounds contradictory. If Claude is widely considered one of the smartest reasoning engines out there, why is Quan treating it like a sloppy intern?
It's because of how its memory works. Language models don't read words like we do. They process data in chunks called tokens. Every model has a strict token limit, essentially a cap on its immediate working memory.
Oh, so Claude runs out of tokens very quickly during a complex task.
Exactly. And once it hits that limit, it starts forgetting the early instructions or taking shortcuts to finish the output. Quan actually compares Claude to a genius human developer who simply refuses to work more than 6 hours a day. Brilliant, but you have to manage around their stamina.
That makes so much sense. Then you have ChatGPT, which Quan calls the dependable middle. It might not be the absolute star for the hardest, most complex reasoning tasks, but it doesn't complain. Its web crawling is solid, and it quietly carries a third of the sprint without ever becoming a bottleneck.
And Gemini is brought in specifically for its Google-backed web crawling. It might fall short in other areas, but you don't hire a specialist and then complain that they're a specialist.
Right. He even staffs his specific software tools this way. Like, he uses Claude Code for the design and specs because it's fast and sharp, a place where a little arrogance doesn't hurt.
Then he hands the unglamorous patient implementation work to Codex. Finally, he brings in the anti-gravity IDE,
Mm.
which is basically the digital workshop where the code is written and tested at the very end just to catch the missed details, acting like a human tester cleaning up after the fast guy.
It is pure staffing. The mistake isn't picking the wrong AI. The mistake is picking one AI and expecting it to be universally perfect. But, there is a trap here. Once you build a roster that works, the immediate temptation is to just sit back, relax, and let the machines run.
Oh, for sure. And that leads directly to the danger of complacency. Quan tells a story about the human midnight guy. Before Quan scouted him, that developer was almost fired by another team for his eccentric behavior. He just didn't look or act like a standard employee.
But when Quan put him in the right seat and gave him the right tasks, he became one of the best performers in the company. That experience taught Quan to never settle for a good enough roster. You constantly have to hunt for talent that other people overlook.
And you see this in how he manages his AI today. In the post, he mentions being incredibly frustrated that he can't get access to an AI called Kimi. Kimi is highly recommended. It's very cheap, but it currently has a closed waitlist.
He admits that being locked out of Kimi annoys him way more than it should because he already has a roster that works perfectly well. But that frustration is the mark of a good leader. He is still hungry, still hunting for hidden talent that might outperform everyone else if put in the right seat.
Right, and once you have that talent, you have to organize it. When Quan managed 20 humans, planning was non-negotiable. I mean, if 20 people start coding without a shared plan, you don't have a team. You have 20 separate projects that are going to violently crash into each other at integration time.
The planning document itself wasn't the point. Alignment was the point, ensuring everyone understood the boundaries and definitions of the project. But if AI capabilities are changing every single Tuesday, a rigid plan sounds like a massive liability. Aren't we supposed to be purely agile now, just figuring it out on the fly with these models?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Quan offers a highly nuanced warning here. There is a genuine hazard in planning too far ahead with AI. If you write a meticulous 6-month technical roadmap based on last month's token limits and model capabilities, you might find yourself building complicated workarounds for a problem that an OpenAI update just fixed quietly 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, the tech moves entirely too fast for a 5-year plan.
But Quan stresses that going in with no plan at all is still the absolute worst option. If you skip the planning phase with AI, you spend your entire day chasing the agent.
Casing it, you mean like constantly reacting to its output?
Literally chasing it down the wrong path. Because the AI works so fast, it closes the loop before you even realize what's happening. Without a plan outlining the architecture and the constraints, you are just discovering its weird interpretations after the fact.
So you find yourself re-explaining rules because they aren't written down anywhere and constantly course-correcting. You are no longer a leader. You are a frantic, busy follower to an algorithm.
Exactly. The only difference is the speed of the failure. An unplanned human project crashes after a month. An unplanned AI project crashes before lunch. The feedback loop is just brutally fast.
That is why the artifact of good leadership hasn't changed. Quan points out that you still have to talk through the goal, argue about the edge cases, and define what done actually looks like. The only difference is the format.
Right, the artifact changed from a physical meeting in a conference room to a simple Markdown file, a .md file. A Markdown file is just a universally readable, lightweight text file format. It strips away all the messy formatting of a Word document so that both a human eye and an AI parser can read it perfectly.
It contains the constraints, the definitions of success, and the architectural boundaries. The file extension changed, but the plan is still the plan.
Yep, but this brings up a huge point.
Yeah.
If the AI is doing the actual building and doing it at breakneck speed based on a Markdown file, what is the human actually getting paid to do? If we're just managing the roster and writing the brief, where is our concrete bottom line value to a company?
It comes down to who takes the bullet when things go wrong. Quan looks back at the great human leaders he admired, and they all shared one trait. They accepted public responsibility for the whole team.
They didn't throw their subordinates under the bus in front of clients. They owned the failure because they were the ones who wrote the brief and approved the plan.
But today, you see the exact opposite happening in the tech world. People make a massive error, and their immediate defense to their boss is, oh, it was my AI. The AI hallucinated.
We do that because it feels safe, right? It feels like blaming a faulty calculator. It removes the personal sting of the failure.
Right, and factually, that statement is almost always true. The AI probably did hallucinate. It did write the broken code, But Quan argues that saying, "it was my AI," is an absolute career killer.
Oh, absolutely. If you hand a bad result to your boss and you take zero responsibility for it, you are defining yourself as a pass-through. And nobody needs to employ a pass-through. If you aren't going to own the result, an employer should just eliminate your salary and talk to the incredibly cheap AI directly.
This isn't just a threat about getting fired either. This is actually the blueprint for ultimate job security. The human is getting paid to own the outcome, to check the work, to act as the quality assurance safety net, and catch the mistake before the client sees it.
The human is the strategic owner. If you step up and own the outcome, you make yourself indispensable. Though Quan does offer an honest interlude here, a caveat, where the comparison between leading humans and leading AI breaks down. He doesn't want to pretend it's a perfect one-to-one mirror.
Right, because AI doesn't have a career trajectory you need to nurture. It doesn't have a Monday morning bad mood you have to navigate. It doesn't have a personal life distracting it from a deadline.
And critically, an AI will never tap you on the shoulder proactively and say, hey, I was looking at this brief and I think we were building the wrong thing entirely. That kind of proactive pushback is one of the most valuable things a human team member provides, and the models just aren't there yet.
So, what does this all mean? Notice what Quan is pointing out as you navigate this new landscape. The places where leading humans and leading AI differ are entirely about the relationship, the morale, the career growth, the moods.
But the actual operating parts that fill up your daily calendar, the planning, the briefing, the delegating to strengths, the owning of mistakes, those are 100% identical.
This raises such an important question about how we value skills as a society. For decades, the tech industry prioritized hard technical skills, coding languages, syntax, math, and treated the soft skills of management and communication as optional decorations for middle managers.
Yeah, and now, as the technical execution gets handed over to AI agents, those soft skills are revealed to be the load-bearing pillars of modern work. They are your superpower.
He spent years being told human skills were about to be devalued. Quan's experience proves the exact opposite. Your ability to provide context, to delegate, to plan, and to take ownership, those are the things keeping you relevant.
Whether you are running a startup, leading a massive department, or just sitting at your desk managing your own personal AI assistant to help with your emails, you are a team lead. You are practicing the art of management.
The tools changed completely, but the job of directing them barely changed at all. Human skill isn't wasted. It's more important now than it has ever been. It's an incredibly empowering message, especially coming from someone who is in the trenches building these educational platforms.
Definitely. And if you want to dive deeper into this kind of practical, applied thinking, you should absolutely check out Skill Wanderer. You can see exactly what our founder, Quan, and the rest of our team are building to make learning accessible for this new era.
Before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. Quan has thoroughly demonstrated that humans managing AI looks exactly like humans managing humans. But if we look just over the horizon, we are rapidly approaching a reality where AI agents will start managing other AI agents.
When that happens, will that AI middle management adopt these same human leadership frameworks of trust, delegation, and planning? Or will they invent an entirely new, unrecognizable way to lead that we can't even comprehend yet?
That is a wild thought. I mean, are we teaching them to be us, or are they just humoring us until they figure out a better way to coordinate?
We went from the death of coding to the survival of management, but the next chapter is entirely unwritten. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Lead well, whoever or whatever's on your team, and we will catch you next time.